For the 12 days, we had a plan, we had an approach. I made an approach. So in that way, we will be going in the form of a discussion, not a class. It is not a monologue, it will be dialogue. So हम साथ में मिलके हम subject को develop करेंगे. I will be giving the content on daily basis. Important points, you underline it and go through it. So it's not a monologue, it will be the dialogue where you will be speaking, I will be speaking, where I will be moderating the topics. That's it. I made some handful of questions, nearly 15 questions, for which I made the content also. The first question is for the Prithvinath Gaur. Yes, Prithvinath.
Yes, sir.
What is anthropology?
Sir, anthropology is holistic study about human, his biological evolution and socio-cultural evolution.
Okay, only that much? In time and space?
Yes, in time and space.
What is the meaning of time and space?
With respect to how the evolution has progressed over the period of time, and space is where different geographical areas, how the evolution has progressed.
Okay. Yes. Maurya Bharadwaj, can you tell me who is the father of anthropology? Kiran Kumar, who is the father of anthropology?
Hello.
Yes, Maurya, you can go on. Maurya, go on.
Sir, I think Aristotle.
There is nothing called as think. Now you are very near to the interview. There is nothing called as think.
Okay.
You know or don't know.
Aristotle is regarded as father of anthropology.
Yes. Kiran Kumar, who is the father of anthropology?
Franz Boas is widely regarded as the father of anthropology, especially American School of Anthropology.
Okay.
He made contributions to theory of historical particularism, and also he has given the concept of cultural relativism.
Kiran, if any anthropologist is sitting in your panel, means finish. Yes. Priya or Sumed, anyone can you answer me? Who is the father of anthropology? It's a beginning, huh?
Hello.
Yes. Go on.
Sir, Herodotus is the father of anthropology. Herodotus.
Okay, Herodotus. Very good. Then what is the contribution of Aristotle? What the title Aristotle got?
Sir, I don't know about his contribution, but there is a concept of eugenics that is. Aristotle has some views of negative eugenics, and he told disabled people should be excluded from the society. So I know this contribution of Aristotle, sir.
Okay. Prithvinath, conclude who is the father of anthropology?
Sir, I think it is Herodotus only.
Yes. So please make sure that little bit factual information, but not Franz Boas. Okay. Yes. So there is something called as endangered languages. I heard about endangered languages. One of the anthropologists, first anthropologist who studied about endangered languages in anthropology discipline. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of endangered languages and who is the anthropologist studied about endangered languages? Anyone?
Sir,
Anyone? Yes, Maurya, go on.
Sir, endangered language is something which the speakers of which are declining gradually, so that it is becoming impossible to transmit that language from one generation to other generation. So E.B. Taylor is the first anthropologist to study about endangered languages in Mexico.
Okay. I will tell you the clarity. E.B. Taylor is the first person who studied about the languages. Franz Boas is the first person who studied about the endangered languages and minority languages. Yes, what you told is correct, but E.B. Taylor is the first person who discussed about the language in the book called as Primitive Culture, but not endangered languages. Endangered languages are being studied by Franz Boas. So, anyone can answer me. Can you tell me any endangered tribal language in India?
Bo is one such language, sir.
Okay.
Whose last speaker died a few years back.
Bo tribe. Of which region it is?
Assam.
What you told is correct. Bo tribe is the last endangered language, but which part of the country? Anyone?
Sir, I think it's Andaman.
Andaman Nicobar Islands. Yes, correct. Yes. My next question is, what are the major branches of anthropology? See, everyone should participate. It's not the class. If you participate, you can get some freeness and you can do it the same in the examination hall.
So can I answer, sir?
Please.
So the major parts of anthropology are firstly archaeological anthropology, and then socio-cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, and linguistic anthropology.
What is archaeological anthropology?
Archaeological anthropology tries to study about the past evidences of the simpler societies, and it helps in studying about their past cultures. That is it, sir.
Correct. Ethnoarchaeology?
Sir, actually, ethnoarchaeology helps in studying about the culture of the past, so that at present what is happening can be known from the simpler societies living in that geography.
Very good.
Using the archaeological evidences.
Very good. There is something called as epidemiological anthropology. What is the difference between epidemiological anthropology and medical anthropology? Dr. Prudvi.
The medical anthropology relates to application of the knowledge of physical anthropology in medicine, and it also includes the disciplines like genetics and etc.
Dr. Deepti, what is the original difference? What is the actual difference between medical anthropology and epidemiological anthropology?
Sir, medical anthropology is a broad term consisting of genetics and all. But coming to epidemiological anthropology, it studies only about epidemiological diseases, its spread, its geographical spread, and the pattern of epidemiological diseases in the population. And
there is something called as epidemiological transition in your anthropology. What is this epidemiological transition?
Sir, means earlier time there were many communicable diseases. They were prevalent in the society, but but currently we see non-communicable diseases are more prevalent in the society. So this is kind of transition in diseases.
Very good. The transition of diseases pattern is called as epidemiological transition. Kiran Kumar, anthropology as a global discipline means what?
Sorry, sir, I cannot. I'm not able to infer this.
Sumit, anthropology as a global discipline.
Yes, sir. So I feel the anthropology scope is very wide. Being a holistic discipline, it not only acts across the nations, but it transpasses the boundary. It transpasses the human history, which has common ancestry. So studying that, apart from studying culture, which has a psychic unity of mankind, which can be seen everywhere and which could be studied. So all these aspects makes it borderless and makes it a global discipline.
Oh, so you told psychic unity of mankind. What is psychic unity of mankind?
So it's a concept which studies about, which talks about there is a unified thinking process or some common elements in thinking which every human being has, because of which some similar cultures or similar actions are taking place throughout the different geographical area.
Why there will be similar thought process?
Sir, I'm not exactly aware of the details, but yes, sir, I would think of as there is some genetical elements to it. Since we have a common ancestry, that could be one thing. And secondly, sir, the similar situation, in a similar situation, this genetical thought process or genetical processing could be result into a similar thinking. So that could be the reason, sir. But I'm not completely sure about this.
The exact reason is across the regions, across the geographies, the necessities are same, the needs are same. Hunger, food, clothing, shelter, reproduction, the needs are same. As the needs are same, in order to satisfy the needs, the thought process is same, according to E.B. Taylor, Henry Morgan, James. And Henry Morgan gave another name for psychic unity of mankind. What is that name? Germ ideas. Okay. Yes.
What's sir?
Germ ideas. Germ ideas. GERM. Germ ideas.
Okay.
Priya, How is anthropology as a discipline useful for mankind?
So anthropology as a discipline, it helps to, since it is studying holistically about a man, it helps in field level study also. So it helps in recognition of the problems what mankind is facing, and in that way it can give the solutions.
Like,
For example, if there is urban anthropology, it can study about the problems in the urban area, and if it is a tribal region, what is the root cause? Knowing that the complex of nature man spirit, and then bringing solution according to the historical particulars.
so in your anthropology, why you will be studying only about tribals?
Sir, anthropology studies more about the simpler societies. So in that way, tribals are very important inside the discipline.
Very good. Yes. Deepti, what is this Asiatic Society of Bengal? I read somewhere that the anthropology as a discipline evolved in India because of this establishment of Asiatic Society of Bengal. What is this?
Sir, I'm not exactly aware of this.
Yes. Praveen Kumar, Kiran Kumar.
Sir, this was the first time institutional anthropology began in India, according to Mazumdar, in 1774 with the establishment of Asiatic Society of Bengal. Afterwards, more studies institutionally has taken place by the British anthropologists.
Very good idiom. The sentence is correct. For the first time, the institutional anthropology is Asiatic Society of Bengal. Yes. Tushar, can you, or Manu, can you tell me about, or Nikhil, can you tell me about the role of British in growth of anthropology in India?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Tushar.
Sir, British administrators for their colonization and for they have used anthropology extensively. There were British bureaucrats who have studied individual tribes and have done the ethnographical works like Nagas, Baigas, and so they have written their books and they have used their understood their culture. Suppose if we see Naga, so they stopped head hunting of the Nagas and they have studied their culture and the British policy of isolationism that also evolved after their anthropology study. Like after the Santal revolt, they understood that they have studied anthropological concept and they have approached the isolationism. And sir, in this way, they have used, sir.
You used the word called as ethnography. You tell me, what is the difference between ethnography, ethnology, monograph? What are the specific meanings of this?
Sir, ethnology, it is a complete extensive study of one tribe. Ethnology is the comparative study between the different cultures, that is different tribes. I'm sorry, sir, I'm not remembering what is monologue.
Monograph.
Monograph. Sorry, sir, I don't have idea.
Anyone? Monograph? Why? Because the first monograph in India, the Munda, was been written by the first Indian anthropologist called as
S.C. Roy.
S.C. Roy. Yes. And one more thing, Sharad Chandra Roy is the only anthropologist who became the MLA. And after becoming the Legislative Assembly member, he worked for the development of the tribes in his region. The only anthropologist who became a political anthropologist. The only anthropologist who became a political anthropologist is Sharad Chandra Roy, the first anthropologist, the father of ethnography in India. Manu, colonial ethnography means what?
Sir, hello.
Yes, yes.
The ethnographic works are undertaken by the British scholar administrators. All those constitute colonial ethnography.
Tell me some of the famous colonial ethnographers.
Tribes and castes of Bengal.
Some of the famous colonial ethnographers.
Sorry, sir, I can't.
Means British anthropologists, no?
Yes.
Tell me some of the British anthropologists, Prithvinath.
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall this.
So the British ethnographers or British anthropologists are very well. Risley, Dalton, the most important, Hemmendorf. These are the very famous in this. These two persons are very important, Hemmendorf and Verrier. So there is a something debate between Gurrier and Verrier Elvin, or Verrier debate it is called this, or Elvin Gurrier debate. What is it, Deepti?
Sir, it is basically about the how to approach the tribals. So, like Varian proposed that complete isolation is the best way to go, and Gurrier said that tribes are ancient Hindus, part of ancient Hindus, and they must be integrated into Hinduism. That is a debate go basically between them.
Whether Verrier changed his stand later?
Yes, sir. After the criticism, Varier changed his stand and he propagated integrationism.
Okay. Another name of isolationism of Verrier Elvin?
So it's a geological park approach of
National Park. National Park.
national park approach.
Okay. Yes. Priya, there is something called as world anthropology. What is world anthropology?
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not aware of that term.
Yes. Anyone, you can go with a blind guess, or if you know, you can answer me. What is world anthropology? Sumit?
No, sir, I'm not able to guess it right now.
So the anthropological studies which happened across the world, mainly Africa and eastern parts of the world together, is called as world anthropology. And most important question, why World War II is considered as a major watershed in the development of anthropology? Again, I am repeating. Why World War II is considered as the major watershed in the development of anthropology? Nikhil, Tushar, Kiran Kumar.
Sir,
Yes, Kiran.
sir, that was when field work couldn't take place properly, and that evolved into national characteristic studies, where anthropologists studied from the distance and also try to anthropologists studied the personality of the nations that they are fighting, and that has evolved into concept personality school. Margaret Mead and Ruth Benedict majorly contributed to this national character studies.
Okay. Yes, Tushar.
Same point, sir. I do not have anything extra to add.
Okay. World War II. Any more extra point you want to add? Anyone? Lakshmi? Priya?
Sir, the works of Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead. So it was the second phase of armchair anthropology, a new kind of field level work by using photographies and voice recording. These were included.
Okay. Visual anthropology.
And also, after World War II, there was end to this British supremacy and rise of America also we have seen in the world. That is also reflected in India, where the influence of American anthropologists is more after World War II.
Somewhere I read postmodernists added political dimension to the ethnography, by which the total ethnography was being compromised according to this postmodernists. So what is this political element which is added to the ethnography according to the postmodernist? Anyone? Postmodernism, how many camps are there? Skeptical postmodernism and affirmative postmodernism, is it not? So in skeptical postmodernism, the postmodernists want to tell that. Yes, Prithvi, you can go on.
So postmodernists basically believe that whatever the science being propagated among the people is controlled by the people in power. So the skeptical postmodernists and affirmative postmodernists differ in the fact that skepticals want to completely overthrow this science or whatever the information is given, and affirmatives want to recheck or restudy this information and confirm.
In postmodernism, we will be listening two words, objective and subjective. What is the meaning of those, Aman?
Sir, not sure.
Objective and subjective. Anyone?
Sir, objective is
objective-
Yes, Priya.
objective is trying to substantiate with the use of facts which are universal, sir, and subjective is the individual's perspective, wherein postmodernism was much towards the subjective view.
Postmodernism is against the subjective view of earlier.
Sorry, sir. Yes, sir, against it.
So why they are against it? Why so?
So because there are different realities, and if any one ethnography is written by a particular person, there will be some discrepancies and their own bias inside that.
Yes. Here itself, he tells that there is a political dimension, that all the ethnographers who collected the data from the cultures are British anthropologists, who are the political masters. When this political masters goes to the groups and collect the information, obviously they will not give the original information. Why? Because the person who is going to collect is the master. So there is a political element is involved. Hence, all the ethnographies are not true ethnographies according to postmodernists. So can anyone tell me whether postmodernists gave any solution?
No, sir. They said that complete objectivity is impossible.
Yes. They didn't give any roadmap also how to do the objective ethnography also. They just told that we want objective ethnographies. How? They don't have the answer. There is something called as mark approach. M-A-R-C, mark approach. M-A-R-C, mark approach, very famous approach. Of which anthropologist? This is previous interview question.
Sir, D.N. Majumdar.
Okay. What is it?
Sir, D.N. Majumdar gave this approach. Man, area, resource, and cooperation is the approach that he has given. It is the effect of the interaction between these factors which impacts the culture, is what he said.
Okay. Any other? Correct only. Any other?
Sorry, sir. Couldn't recall more.
Okay. Aman, mark approach. Sumed.
No, sir, I don't have much idea about it.
Okay. Yes. There are there are 4 different branches of anthropology. There are special fields of anthropology. So you can just guess and tell me, or what would be the special fields of anthropology? It means that special emphasis was being given by the anthropology as a discipline on those fields, like religion, like language, like field works, are the special fields of anthropology. Yes, in this context, I will ask you one question. Deepti, totemism. Totems means what?
Sir, totem is an symbolic form of that is a clan. They claim that they originate from the same ancestor, so they designate the ancestor to some totem like an animal or a plant.
So you used the word called as symbolic. What is the difference between symbol and symbolic?
So symbolic is some object which we can touch and feel, but symbolic is it's a approach or representation or belief. Yeah. So it's a superficial theme or overcompassing the reality of symbol.
There is something called as ethic and emic in the anthropology discipline. What is this ethic and emic?
Sir, ethic and emic are 2 perspectives of studying or doing field studies. Emic is perspective of the others, and ethic perspective of the natives, and ethic is perspective seeing others from one's own perspective.
Okay. So from others' point of view, whether it is going to degrade the cultures?
Sir, from
others' point of view.
So, sir, from others' point of view, it actually depends on the viewpoint. If one is totally biased, then yes, it can degrade the culture. But if one is looking at it from the perspective of native, then one will have more respect towards their culture.
Who is the first anthropologist to do participant observation?
Sir, first anthropologist to do participant observation was Malinowski.
Nikhil, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between functionalism and structural functionalism?
So functionalism is an approach which says that every uh, part of a society serves a particular function. It is given by Marinos. It is compared with that of a human body, where each organ has a certain function. And structural functionalism, sir, is I'm unable to recollect the definition, sir, but it came as a reaction to functionalism.
No, what is crux? What is the meaning of structural functionalism? What they want to tell? What R.C. Brown want to tell?
Sir, he wants to say that functionalism alone cannot, we cannot understand the society using functionalism alone. And he also took help of Levi Strauss's structuralism and embedded in functionalism, sir.
Okay. Yes. Todas was studied by Manu. Are you there, Manu? Todas is studied by
WHR reverse, sir.
Yes, WHR reverse. Andaman Islanders were being studied by
Radcliffe Brown.
Yes, R.C. Brown. Yes, very good. See, what is this coloring? We will be coming across this coloring in your anthropology. What is the coloring? Priya.
So coloring is a practice which is very prominent in the Pacific region with the Trobriand Islanders. It is the way of exchanging their cultural entities, the necklace and armband within the particular group. It is a cultural practice which also has relevance in economy and religion and all that.
What is the significance? What it is giving? What is the outcome of the coloring?
Sir, it helps to study about their culture and how they are connected using that basic practice.
So the social cohesion is happening between the different tribal communities. And
Yes,
the major significance is these 17 tribal communities who participated in the coloring, they fought against the British, they unified and they fought against the British and they got the independence. What unified means this coloring exchange unified them. Yes. And same Priya, you used the word something called as urban anthropology earlier. So what is this rural anthropology and urban anthropology?
So from what I have read, they both actually go to the same idea of recognizing the problems. In urban anthropology, the problems will be different comparative to the rural anthropology. So it is problem solving after knowing from the field. If suppose there is a slum, what are the problems faced by those peoples? And if it is a rural anthropology, they study more about the rural setting, having the map of the rural.
Okay. Any urban anthropologist?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
Any urban anthropologist? Anyone? Rural anthropologist? Everyone know M.N. Srinivas, S.C. Dubey. Urban anthropologist? Just remember American anthropologists. Some anthropologists studied, American anthropologists studied in Kanpur villages. Kanpur.
Oscar Lewis.
Oscar Lewis, yes. Oscar Lewis compared the joint family system of the rural and urban areas of Kanpur. Both are same. So urban anthropologist is Oscar Lewis. There is something called as cosmopolitanism. What is this cosmopolitanism? Dipti or anyone? Have you came across it? Rural cosmopolitanism.
Sir, I have a rough idea.
Yes, sir. So cosmopolitanism is the idea which talks about a global common community, which brings about everyone has a similar characteristics and they have belong to a similar what we call a global village. It could be said that.
Very good, very good. Any more explanation for rural cosmopolitanism? Who is the person?
I'm not aware of the technical term, but if I relate to a Indian rural village system, so it could be related that it could be said that it has all the elements in it. A single village is a self-sufficient village, which we studied. So it could be considered as a cosmopolitan village. So that's my interpretation, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
Aman.
Oscar Lewis gave that concept and said that unlike Mexico's, Indian villages are not isolated, but like a cosmopolitan, they are an integration of different villages and people come together during during different times and form a single community.
Is it not against little republics?
Yes, sir, it is against the little republics as well.
What is the meaning of little republics? Who gave the term and what is it?
Charles Metcalf gave the term little republics, and it means that villages are isolated form of land which are self governing and not connected to others, which was again criticized by them that villages form an integrated community.
Yes. Prudvinath, anthropology is an inclusive and sustainable discipline. I will disagree. What do you say?
Sir, firstly, sir, talking about inclusivity, so far the studies are being concentrated on the simpler societies and in the villages. So it is in one way neglecting on the urban and modern societies. And sustainability, since anthropology is still based on the old-fashioned research tools and methodologies, and the significance is slowly losing out, with only few anthropologists shining in the applied field, and lack of adequate institutional facilities to promote the discipline. I think the sustainability is also on the lower side.
Okay, you told applied. So what is the difference between applied anthropology and action anthropology?
Sir, applied anthropology is where the principles of and research of anthropology is used for the betterment of humankind, like in sports anthropology, which is called kinanthropometry, and in manufacture of defense equipments. Action anthropology is something where the anthropologists themselves get involved in framing policies or taking decisions with respect to people. For example, anthropologists involved in designing a tribal developmental plan according to their needs, understanding their views about the culture.
Okay. So you told a anthropologist who is designing policy. For example, tribal sub-plan is very successful policy for the tribal development. Can you tell me, can you name the anthropologist who designed it?
Is it LP Vidyarthi?
Yes, is Aman correct?
I'm not able to recall this.
Panchashil, who designed it?
Sir, it is written by our former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in the preface of book written by Warrior Elvin.
Deepti Chauhan, can you tell me the major difference between the structuralism, functionalism in a layman understanding format?
Sir, structuralism basically it approaches, it studies the society in which its major emphasis is on the structure. For instance, marriage, family is a structure. So in functionalism, the function of the institution is important than the structure. Like Malinowski says that needs are more important because of the human need. Institutions are there to fulfill the human needs. So, and structural functionalism is that integration of both, importance giving to both.
Yes. At the same time,
Understanding.
yes. At the same time, your cognitive anthropologists are telling that culture is nothing but which is present in the minds of the people. How something will present in the minds of the people, I am unable to understand it.
Sir, it is.
You are aware of it.
Yes, sir. Sir, it is present in the minds and also the basic collective understanding of people in the society. They have that collective understanding of particular symbols or particular rituals, particular myths.
Very good. Shared cognition, shared knowledge. Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Yes. There is something called as traditional knowledge digital library. Sumit, क्या होता है? Traditional knowledge digital library. Where it came across?
So it's also known as TKDL, the short form. It is a reservoir of all the traditional and the ancient language which we have, which rest with the tribal and also the local people who stays close to the nature. So it includes the medical knowledge as well as some of the linguistic ancestry which we have. So it has various elements which could be used for the patenting and giving the compensation for the locals.
Very good. Very good. In anthropology, very, very frequently, we will be studying about the relationship between the language and culture. We will tell that, not I, Levi-Strauss will tell that language and culture are analogous, language and culture are synonymous, language and culture are homologous. So why this language and culture topics are so prevalent? What is the relationship between both of them? Yes, 1 minute. Manu, are you there? If you talk, then you can talk in the UPSC interview. Maurya Bharadwaj.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, please.
So language and culture are similar because one reason is culture is transmitted through language. So it is one reason. Apart from that, both are similar because according to Levi-Strauss itself, culture is perceived in the way that language is understood.
Okay. Very good.
So
Priya? Yes, correct.
I think these are the reasons, sir.
Correct, Maurya. Priya?
So the linguistics are more to do with the cognitive abilities. And sometimes even the culture comes, according to the structuralism, it is from the cognition which we think in the mind is happening in the reality. So in that way, it is connected. And for example, in simpler societies, since they will be isolated, they have very less number of names to call with. That is also linking linguistics with the culture. For example, Hawaiian culture and how their linguistics is classifactory.
What is the difference between culture relativism and ethnocentrism? Nikhil.
The ethnocentrism as a concept tries to place one's culture at the center and tries to evaluate others' culture based on that person's culture. There is a possibility of some bias creeping in ethnocentrism because a person feels that his or her culture is supreme and tries to evaluate others' culture based on his or her culture. Whereas cultural relativism as a concept tries to evaluate each culture independently. Despite differences between his culture or her culture and the other culture's aspects are respected. In that sense, cultural relativism is more progressive.
At the same time, culture relativism is threat to human rights as well as it is dear to the anthropologists. Why is it so?
It can be due to some cultures because human rights is a political concept. It may not be agreed by tribals because what is human right was it may not be human right to some simple societies because some simple societies there may be some unhuman practices which are unhuman according to us but not according to tribals. In that sense, there cannot be complete agreement between what we perceive as a right and what tribals perceive. So there is this discord here.
There is a person called as B.D. Sharma, who is a social activist, who is an IAS turned social activist turned tribal activist. Can anyone tell me his contributions? Aman?
Sir, he was the head of SC/ST Commission, and sir, one of his major contributions was that he gave that India is not divided into India and Bharat, that is rural and urban, but it is divided into three parts: India, Bharat, and Hindustan, where Hindustan forms tribals, and special focus is needed for their development.
He is a person who questioned Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. In which context?
I think he questioned on the unmet promises to the tribals, where development conflicted with the interests of the tribals, where they are displaced.
Very good. Very good. Prithvi, there is something called as industrial nomadism. What is that?
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to answer.
Yeah, industrial nomadism.
So when the migration is happening towards the urban cities because of the factor of industrialization, leaving the joint family structure behind in the rural settings, it is industrial nomadism.
Who coined it?
I'm not sure, sir. Sorry.
Okay, it's a factual question. LV Vidya. Development refugees.
Sir,
Development refugees.
sir, I have a doubt regarding industrial nomadism. Sir, it is. I think, based on my understanding, industrial nomadism is other people coming into the areas, industrial areas. The areas are mostly tribal areas. New industries are set up in tribal areas, and other people are coming to that tribal areas, and that is the core concept of industrial nomadism rather than joint family and all.
Yes, correct.
I'm not sure.
Correct. It's not because of joint.
Okay.
I will tell Priya first. Yes.
Okay.
Development refugees. Kiran Kumar, development refugees. Have you came across it?
Sir, I can take a guess from that word. I haven't come across that. Whenever some developmental projects are taking place, many people are displaced without home. They can be called as developmental refugees.
Actual answer, development refugees. Anyone? Development refugees. What you guessed is correct only. More accurate. Aman, development refugees. Sumit?
Sir, I feel these are the people who are moved from their original place due to some development work which took place in their area. So they lost their lands and their earning potential, which was associated with land. That's why we call them refugees. So they moved to some other areas.
Any examples? Any tribal examples?
Sir, I'm not able to recall, but there was a tribe in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, which was displaced 3 times for the 3 times, and 2 times reason was the development work, the dam construction. Sir, I'm unable to recall the name.
Majorly about the anthropology as a discipline, the beginning, the evolution, some of the anthropologists, and the most important anthropologist, one person I will ask his contribution, someone answer me, Nirmal Kumar Bose, NK Bose. What are the contributions of NK Bose to the discipline of anthropology, Priya?
Sir, I'm not able to recollect, so I have to read it.
NK Bose, anyone? Yes, Aman, Boli.
Sir, one, that he studied Zhuangs of Odisha and gave the concept of tribe, caste, continuum by studying them, that how they had displaced and developed, and some of the Zhuangs turned into caste and others stayed as tribals.
The major contribution of Nirmal Kumar Bose is the first archaeological anthropologist. He is less an anthropologist, more of an archaeologist. That is a major contribution. Then he studied Zhuang tribal community. That is also true. Yes. So in the same way, again, the repetition we will be having. And tomorrow, according to the schedule, a very quick revision we will be doing. My intention is everyone should learn from each other so that if any person get the answer, any such question you can answer in the examination hall. So tomorrow the topic is human evolution and archaeology. The new methods of archaeology we will discuss. Denisovan we will discuss. About Neanderthal in the news, the DNAs are there in the news. These all things we will be discussing tomorrow. Human evolution and archaeology. Human evolution in the world, human evolution in India. General archaeology and Indian archaeology. These all things we will be discussing. For example, cultural evolution started from Neolithic age. Who told this? Prithvi.
Is it Gordon Childs?
Very good. Gordon Childs. Yes. Because of what reason? Invention of food production. Mainly because of invention of food production, agriculture production. The beginning of agriculture production is the beginning of cultural evolution of a man. Gordon Childs. Yes. What is it? Neo-evolutionism. Two people, Gordon Childs and Leslie White, are called as universal evolutionists, mainly because of unilinear sequence of evolution. Can anyone tell me when these both are universal evolutionists, when these both are unilinear sequence of evolution, what is the difference between this Gordon Childs' contribution and Leslie White's contribution? Voluntarily tell me. Nikhil.
Sir, I'm unable to recollect, sir. I'll have to study upon.
Okay. What is culture ecology?
So culture ecology as a concept, if I can recollect, is it given by Franz Boas?
No.
Okay.
Culture ecology, Julian Stewart.
Adaptation. I'm sorry.
To the environment we will be adopting, how we are adopting, the culture evolution will be happening. And the cultural evolution is not in unilinear sequence, the cultural evolution will be in multilinear evolution, isn't it? There is something called as culture patterns of Ruth Benedict. What is that? Dipti?
Sir, basically she refers to complex of all the culture traits forming complexes, and these complexes in together form a culture pattern in a particular society.
So culture pattern is simply called as culture, isn't it?
Yes, sir. For a particular society, the how they behave, how the culture is there is in a pattern.
Yes. Finally, my last question today. In your anthropology, E.B. Taylor told culture is acquired. Malinowski told culture is inherited. Ralph Linton finally concluded that it is acquired and inherited. So my question is, what is acquired according to E.B. Taylor? What is inherited according to Malinowski? Priya or Tushar? Maurya? Sumit? Isn't it culture definition for the first time is given by E.B. Taylor in this book, Primitive Culture. Culture is acquired. Malinowski told that culture is inherited. So what is the meaning of acquired? What is the meaning of inherited according to them? Prithvi.
Sir, acquired in the sense it is transmitted from the ancestral generation to the next generation.
Okay.
Inherited, I don't know exactly, but is it talking about the genetical inheritance? No. Sorry, sir. I made a guess.
Sumit.
So my rough guess is that inherited can be clubbed as some group which when the cultures pass from one generation to another, so it could be a restrictive concept. But acquired, so one person if he moves to another cultural setup, he could acquire those cultural traits also. So that's my interpretation, sir.
So tomorrow this is the homework. We will continue with this question and we will do human evolution and archaeology. Okay?
Sir, I have a question. You talked about world anthropology. So what's the relevance of this world anthropology as such?
It is a current school of discipline which is going around. The evolutionary studies, the archaeological studies, which happened in Africa, which happened in China, now we are comparing. The comparative anthropology at different continents is called as world anthropology. How the studies are happening in Africa, how the studies are happening in Indonesia, how the studies are happening in China, how the studies are happening in North America, those all are being compared and finding the authentic way of doing the evolutionary studies, understanding the evolutionary studies. This comparison between the continental studies is called as world archaeology.
So is it just restricted to this evolution as in cultural evolution or
cultural and biological both?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So we will meet tomorrow. Kiran, any doubts?
Sir, developmental refugees you spoke about. Who are these?
Same development because of the development, the local people who are becoming refugees, like Santals who became refugees, like Yanadi tribes who became refugees. This one, Dongria Kond who became refugees, development refugees. Because of the developmental activities, the tribals who are losing their lands, the land alienation which is happening is development refugees. The people who are moving from their localities are called as development refugees. The same LB Vidyadhi discussed about it.